Well, how's it going, my fellow YouTube listeners and subscribers and people who are just watching from wherever? This is a daily rant. Today's date is Saturday, April 26, 2025. So glad you could stop in and listen to me for a little while. So today's daily rant is in regard to an incident I had this week. And this is directed at the Clonch family. Which, by the way, I want to make sure that I keep this civil. I don't want to engage in name calling or cursing or anything like that. Usually that's the nature of the daily rant, and it's the nature of this channel, if I can be honest. But today, I just want to have a conversation about evidence and why it's important. Now, this is for Herbert and Nicole Clonch. They are oncology parents, and they live in Ohio, and I was having a conversation with Herbert about an incident that happened this week. So Justina Banks, of course, at it again, spreading gossip. And they have managed to convince this family that I am this horrible individual. Now, I'm not here to defend myself. Usually I'm, defending myself in my daily rant recordings, but this is actually a test for the Clonch family, the parents in particular, not their son, because, I'm not going to give the son's name, but I will say he recently rang the end of treatment bell, which I am absolutely ecstatic. I am so happy to know that he has beat cancer. That was probably the best news I heard all week, and I am just over the moon happy for this young man. So congratulations to you, bud. Now, as I had pointed out, Justina Banks at it again with the nonsense, spreading gossip and lies about me. And so I guess this is really directed at Herbert, the father, and Nicole, the mother. Now, I understand you blocked me from your son's page. You blocked me on social media. You done all that because of the things that this Justina Banks, and I know it's Justina Banks because no one else says anything like this other than Justina Banks. And if there are other people who are saying something similar, you might want to also use this bit of advice, follow this, listen to this, and just listen to what I have to say in this recording. It might help you out in the future, and it may potentially be beneficial, so that way you don't run into problems like this again in the future, okay? Now, let's talk. The position that the Clonches, the parents, had taken was that they want to remove themselves from the drama, which, by the way, let me point out that I'm not the one who brought you into drama. That was Justina Banks or whoever else is responsible for this. That's on them. That's not on me. I recorded a shout-out video for your son, among other things I've done for your son, to help brighten his day, to bring him out of a funk, to get him to feel good about himself, to boost his spirits up so he's not down in the dumps, because I understand his situation. Child of cancer survivor here. You guys know this. I shouldn't have to keep going over this with anybody. But I am very well aware of the situation that your son was in and regarding chemo and radiation and things like that, hospital stays. It's not fun. It's just not fun. And I was doing everything in my power to help raise the spirits of this young man. Okay, I had written letters, I had written a poem for him, I had sent him a personalized ornament from Bronner's. I had done all of these things for this young man to brighten his day. I do it for all the cancer kids. And one day, I guess they got a message from this Justina Banks or whoever's doing this, perpetuating this nonsense. And then I find that I'm being blocked from the page, I'm being blocked from personal accounts, and I was able to actually have a chat with Herbert because he said that his position was that he didn't want to take sides. He's not taking sides. They want no part of this. They want their family left out of the drama. Now, while I do understand that, Herb, I totally understand that, and I agree. But you have to remember that I'm not the one who perpetuated this drama. That's on that other person. So you need to get that in your head. That wasn't coming from me. That was coming from that other person. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the Daily Rant and why I'm here, directing this specifically at Herbert and Nicole Clonch. You were given some bad information about me, some really horrible information. And while I do understand that your position is you don't care about what's true and who's telling the truth, which is, by the way, dangerous, if we can be honest with each other, it's very dangerous. It's a dangerous position to take. You should always care about what's true. But because your position is such that you don't care about what's true and accurate, I'm going to have to kind of demonstrate why it is. You were given bad information, okay? You accepted it at face value because you ended up blocking me. You say you have no position in this, you have no skin in this, whatever's going on, but you blocked me without having the conversation with me, so that is your official position. You don't care about what's true and accurate. You heard something horrible without me giving my side of the story, and I've tried to contact you to tell you what's going on, and you throw a fit. Let's be honest, you threw a fit. You're supposed to act more grown when it comes to things like this, okay? We're not in high school anymore. Those days are gone. We're adults now. Let's start acting like it, okay? It's kind of embarrassing to be a grown adult and act like a preteen, okay? We're too grown for that nonsense. So let's have the conversation. So, your stance is you don't care who's telling the truth and who isn't, but you should, Robert, and I'm going to explain why. Because when you're given information, you're taking it at face value, unchallenged, unquestioned. How do you know that they're not doing this to other people who they've had vendettas with for whatever reason, and you're just not taking someone's word and blocking them? You don't even know if what they're telling you is true or not. So, this is how we're going to approach this. First of all, as I've always said in the past, when someone comes at you with a claim, with gossip, no matter what it is, you press them on evidence for, F-O-R, for the claim that they're giving you. Not of the claim, because we know what the claim is. You don't need evidence or a screenshot of a claim. If they're coming to you with anything, you need to have evidence for the claim being made, because evidence for the claim is going to make the claim true. Have you received any evidence for the claims they are making? That's the question that you need to think about. If the answer to that question is no, then my follow-up question would be, why are you accepting that as true? And you told me you're not accepting anything as true. You just want left out of the drama. Well, you kind of are accepting it as true if you're not willing to have the conversation. If you're telling me that there's no more to talk about, then you have accepted it as fact without any evidence to confirm the claim being true or not true. You're just accepting things on the fly, willy-nilly, and oh, it's okay, leave me alone. But that's not the world we live in. Okay, that's just not the world we live in. Some of us actually care about truth, and I find it ironic that two grown people who are destined, and you were destined, you'll always be destined for the welfare and well-being of your children, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. That can't be argued. I want you to protect your children. I want you to have healthy children. But at the end of the day, the truth is what matters. Now, your son is now out of treatment, which makes me happy. I'm elated. I'm over the moon, okay? I'm not being facetious. I'm not, I'm being genuine and sincere. From one child, a cancer survivor, to another, I am just over the moon happy for your son. But we have to be honest about what's happening. We just have to be honest. We have to look at this. So, evidence for the claim. If they can't provide that, then you reject the claim. That's what you do. You withhold belief until evidence for that claim has been presented. And I hate to be a guy who gives spoiler alerts, but there is no evidence for the claim being made. There is none. So, there's another big part of this that you really need to focus on, Herbert and Nicole both. And that is, you press them on getting a selfie. if they're hitting you up in Messenger, I don't know if you're still connected with them. I don't know if you're, if you blocked them. I don't know what the scenario is because I just don't know. I don't have enough information to confirm or deny. So, if you are still connected with this Justina Banks or whoever gave you the bad information, press them on a selfie. Tell them to send you an unedited, unfiltered picture of their face. Because if they don't have a problem telling you something, then don't you think you should have a face to go along with their credibility? If they're not being honest with you, at least you'll have a face to go along with the claim they're making. You can identify who's being dishonest. Because if they're, I'm going to tell you what will happen. When you press them on getting a selfie, this is what's going to happen. They're either going to fight you on it, they're going to leave your request on read in Messenger, or they're just going to straight up block you. That's what's going to happen. One of those three things is going to happen. Fear does not, truth does not fear inquiry. Ever. Truth does not fear evidence. Because if they can't even be honest with you about who they are, then how could you ever take what they tell you seriously? The credibility on that part of it goes out the window. If they're not willing to show you who they are behind the account, to give you a picture of not their chin, not their forehead, not their arms, their face, uncovered, unfiltered, unedited. If they're not willing to do that for you at your request, then they're already being dishonest with you right from the get-go. Now, see, you guys are grown. I shouldn't have to explain logic and critical thinking to you, and I really don't want to put you in a category of people who are gullible, and I am sorry to do that, but you're making it so easy for me. This is incredibly easy for me. And I truly love and care about you guys. I do. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I love you guys. And I will always love and adore your son. He is a good kid. I just recently watched the video he posted about the four-wheeler. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's his way of celebrating life. And looking at cancer dead in the face and saying, you didn't get me. Now what? Now I get to go live my life. You guys have to be more serious about this. You have to, the information that you're given, I don't care what it's about, you have to be serious. And I find this ironic that two people from a demographic of people who solely rely on evidence to determine their son's condition would suddenly throw the need for evidence out the window when it comes to something like this. Evidence is always needed. There's never a time in a day, night, whatever, there is never a moment in time when evidence is never required to determine whether or not something is true. This is around the clock, 24/7, nonstop. The need for evidence and the requirement for evidence to a claim never sleeps. It never stops. It's continuing. It's a continuum, okay? This never stops. That's logic. Two grown people who I want to give the benefit of the doubt. You should know better than to believe something without proof. I've had this conversation with several people many times over, and they would rather embrace their ignorance than to have an honest, civil discussion about the situation. The onus is not on me to demonstrate innocence. The onus is on them to demonstrate guilt. Have you ever served on a jury? Have you ever served on a jury? Because if you have, then you know that someone's life is in your hands. And in order to make a determination collectively, you have to examine evidence. If there is no evidence of wrongdoing, you reject it. Then that person, by lack of evidence, would be found not guilty. Okay? It's simple. This isn't just courtroom analogy. This isn't courtroom logic. This is reality. Evidence never sleeps. The need for evidence never sleeps. If you're trying to determine what's true and accurate, you look for the evidence that confirms the truth and accuracy of a claim. This is really simple stuff. It's not hard to understand. And when I tell you that I love you guys, I treasure you guys, I'm not being facetious, if I can say the word. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being dishonest. I'm not trying to blow sunshine up your skirt. I'm being honest. I was genuine from the start. Nothing has changed. I just wish you guys would have given me the opportunity to explain the situation before you flew off the handle and just accepted something at face value without even knowing as to whether or not something you were told was true. And your position is, well, I don't care what's true and what. Well, that's a fatal error. That's a fatal mistake. You should always care about what's true. And this all started because, why? Because I recorded a shout out video for your son. I'm sorry, but I love that kid. And I'm so happy to have lifted his spirits. I remember, Nicole, you told me in Messenger that you almost didn't have a Christmas tree put up last year, but because I sent him an ornament with his name on it, he changed his mind. That did wonders for me. You have no idea the smile that was on my face when you said that to me. I got him to change his mind because he felt loved. He felt seen. He was heard. He was accepted. Are you really going to take that away from him? I don't think you're the kind of people to do that. I'm not convinced. I have never thought of you two, Herbert and Nicole. I've never viewed you as bad people. But for some reason or another, you are convinced of what a stranger had told you about me. That's bizarre to me. Just absolutely bizarre. And if they had sent you any evidence where information is scribbled out, that should also be a red flag. Don't you think that there's all the information gathered? Don't you think that every detail should be just as important? Who's the victim? Who have I violated? Who's the victim? Because they're convincing you that I have done something inappropriate, which, okay, if it did happen, why am I not in jail? Why am I not sitting in prison? Because the nature of the claim is such that that is a felony, and using a computer or an electronic device to commit a felony is an actual real crime. So why am I not sitting in jail? Why don't I have warrants for my arrest? Why am I not being investigated by the state police? Why haven't they showed up at my house? Why is none of this happening? Why are there no police reports? Why does Justina Banks never show their face? Why do they never show their true identity? There's a lot at stake here. And just for the record, I would never do anything or say anything appropriate to a child. This guy has been giving me crap for the past nearly 10 years, okay? This has been going on for a long time. This guy is a sociopath. He's a liar. He's a pathological liar. And his mind is always in the gutter. Always. Always, no matter what it is. When I told you that he posted a picture of a tree trunk and got excited by it, I was not making that up. There are other people who can also verify that. Even if he meant it in a joking way, that's disturbing. A single guy with 6 kids and on welfare, okay? And it's not a slam against people on welfare, but this guy is deranged. He's got nothing better to do with his time. And the reason he's mad at me is because I had written a poem for his daughter, who is a childhood cancer survivor. And I've been writing poetry for a very long time. I was writing poetry before I started writing journals, and it's been over 25 years. that I've been writing poetry, because I've been writing journals for 25 years. I know how to write. I know what words mean. I know how to use words in a sentence. I understand definitions of words. I'm very seasoned at what I do. This is a hobby for me, but I'm very well versed and seasoned in the things I do. And I do things very carefully and skillfully. I have never in my life written something about a child or for a child that was inappropriate in nature and context. Never. Never in the history of my writing. But this clown saw the poem and viewed it as a sex poem because I mentioned something about trading places with her in her bed. Meaning that I would have traded places with her in her hospital bed. She is a cancer warrior, or I guess now she'd be a survivor. Meaning I would have gone through that for her so she didn't have to, much in the same way I would have gone through it again for your son, in a heartbeat. No questions asked. Then I mentioned something about kiss the tears away. Yes, the word kiss, sexual, oh my God. Well, it wasn't meant in that context. Wouldn't you want to kiss away the tears of a child who's hurting? Wouldn't we all? Isn't that what grown adults should do? We want to see children not suffer. We don't like to see children sad and hurting. But somehow in the mind and the eyes of this deranged, foul person, he views it as something sexual. There is nothing sexual about saying you want to kiss a child's tears away because, oh, he said the word kiss. And trade places with them in her bed because he said the word bed. Kiss in bed. Oh my God. Like, get real. Get real. It's ridiculous. It's beyond preposterous. And the fact that you would just believe what you are being told, you are taking this at face value, is even more beyond preposterous to me. You guys are better than this. And I would have expected a civil conversation between two grown adults. You could have come to me and said, hey, we're just curious what's going on. And I would have had that conversation with you on Messenger. Absolutely. Without a doubt. You know what? And if it appeases you, if it makes you feel better, check the Michigan Sex Offender Registry. You guys have my name and my address, my physical address. If I was on a registry, do you think I would make myself known to everybody? Do you think that I would be as forward as I am with my mailing address and giving you my cell phone number and doing all these things to stay in touch and to keep the lines of communication open? Do you think I would actually do that if I was on a registry? That reality is just not there because I've never been incarcerated for anything ever in my life. I've never been in prison. Never in my life. I've been in jail once, but not for that. It was over also a lie. But that's another story for another day. I have never been in prison, not once in my life. All of this information is easily obtainable and verifiable. You just don't care to look? You don't care either way? Well, for those of us who actually do care about what's true and accurate and relevant to reality, we do care and we look into things and we question and challenge everything. That's how we get a better understanding of the world we live in. And I'm sorry that you think that the importance of truth and accuracy is not enough for you. I'm sorry, Herbert and Nicole, but it is. That's the world you live in, whether you like it or not, and you should care about what's true. Someone's life could be at stake, could be at jeopardy because of a vicious lie that someone came up with. And all over a poem of all things. Like, please, give me a break. Get real. Don't you have anything better to get pissed about than, and it was taken out of context because the person always has that on their mind, doing it. I don't want to say it, SCX. They've always got that on their mind, constantly, daily. They think they're being clever, they think they're being cute, But they want to go out looking at like the disgusting, foul, dishonest, deceitful liars that they are. And they're okay with that. And what troubles me more is that you are okay with that. And that goes for anybody else listening to this. How could you ever be okay with something like that? People lying about somebody else, ruining their reputation. But anyway, like I said, press them on a selfie. If you are still connected with, Justina Banks or whatever, I don't know. But if you are, press them on a selfie. Press them on it. Not something, off the internet. No, press them on something, on a picture, on a selfie. That's where you start. Because if they're going to fight you time and time and time and time again, they're going to fight you on their true identity, then how could you ever believe anything they tell you after that point? Credibility should have already went out the window at that point. They have no credibility. They have no evidence for anything. They don't have a leg to stand on. And you're willingly believing what you are being told. You are swallowing everything that you're being spoon-fed. That's dangerous and it's obnoxious. You guys should know better. You didn't do this when your child was going through treatment. That's all evidence-based information. Why do you think your child had to go through the testing that he had to go through, all the examinations, the pokes, the prods? That's serious stuff, and it's important stuff. It's good to know. I should not have to school you on logic and critical thinking. This is not just courtroom, it's not courtroom logic. This is logic 101. This applies broadly across reality. Evidence is always important. It never sleeps. If someone is coming at you with a claim, no matter what it is, you press them on evidence for the claim. When someone posts something that I think is obnoxiously ridiculous on Facebook, I do my own digging to find out as to whether or not it's true that what they say is, I want to know if it's true or not. So I do my own digging. I do my own investigating. I wish you guys would have taken this at a more approachable angle than just going by the stance of, well, we don't care who's right and who's wrong. We just want to be left out of it. I understand you don't want to be dragged into this. But again, as I pointed out, I didn't perpetuate this drama. That other person did. And it's all because I had written a poem for his daughter in dedication to his daughter. His sick, twisted, demented mind had taken it to a different place where it didn't have to go. And he's scaring the hell out of everybody, including the two of you. And this is what happens. And what should be even more frightening beyond that is the fact that someone would have to go to a very dark place in their own minds to drum up this kind of lie, that they would have to fabricate this. It takes a very dark, twisted, disturbed, disgusting, sickened mind to come up with something like this, like a lie with very good detail. That's disgusting. But you're still accepting it, which is even more frightening. Like I said, I'm very well crafted and seasoned at what I do. Writing is one of my main hobbies. I love writing. And I would never have a thought in my head. A single thought would never cross my mind like that about a child. Ever. Ever. And it shows you that this person, this clown, has no idea what they're talking about. Nicole, Herbert, I wish you well. I wish you would have at least given me the opportunity to have this conversation in Messenger, or maybe perhaps over the phone, or maybe, in Messenger. Anywhere would have been nice. I wish you would have at least granted me the opportunity to have this discussion. But here I am resorting to a daily rant because Herbert, I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you don't want to listen to what I'm trying to tell you. What you told me is not the only thing that matters. You may think it is, but it's not. The truth always matters. Your position is, we don't want to be dragged into this. Well, that's fine. But when you tell me you don't care about what's true and what's not, that's dangerous, and it's ignorant. And I want to give you more credit than that, but you have put me in a position to where I have to call it like I see it. Sometimes a spade is just a spade, Herbert. And when you tell me that you don't care about the truth, you don't care about the details, that's just lazy. And the truth is, Herb, I want you to care about what's true. I want you to care about what's accurate. It was important enough to you and Nicole to know what was true and accurate when your child was in treatment. That need or that desire to want to understand what's true and accurate should never go away. That should never break off. Because what that does, when you have that kind of mindset and you're driven to want to know the truth about everything, that makes you less susceptible to liars like Justina Banks. That's really the message that I'm trying to impart to everyone. Anyone who's ever been given a bunch of crap about me by this Justina Banks, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. Believing what they tell you without question and challenge is not the way to go. You press them on this. Enough people have already done it, and when they don't agree with Justina Banks, they don't do what Justina Banks says, Justina Banks gets mad because the plan didn't work on those people. They were wise and intelligent enough to say, no, you don't. You show me proof of what you're saying or go away. Disappear into the thin air. Well, they couldn't provide evidence for anything they were saying, so they got mad and they blocked my friends, which is what should happen. Because my friends were calling out Justina Banks on the nonsense. Herb, Nicole, that's what I've wanted you to do. I am more than willing to have a conversation with you. I wish you would unblock me so we could at least talk about what's going on. Don't just write me off as a bad person without actually knowing the truth. I don't care that, this Justina Banks has a problem with me. That's on Justina Banks. That's not on me. And it's definitely not on you. You said it yourself. You don't want to be dragged into the drama, so why are you making it your problem? Now you think I'm a horrible person. Now you think that I'm just some weirdo out here doing things he shouldn't be doing, and that's not the case. I'm relevant to childhood cancer, whether anybody likes it or not. Why do you think I went back to advocacy after actually it was nearly 6 years. I didn't have a comment for what was going on then, but now I do. And this kind of stuff has got to stop. With Justina Banks being the lying, pathological idiot they are. That's just what they are, simply put, writ large. This person is an idiot. And you have to build an immunity to idiocy. You have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to run into these kinds of problems over and over and over and over and over again. You have to advocate not only for childhood cancer and for cures, but you have to advocate for what's true. Always. That's what advocacy is. You want the truth. Never stop fighting to get it. And never stop pushing people like Justina Banks to get a selfie. Because I'm telling you both. The minute you request a selfie from this Justina Banks person, they're either going to fight with you on this, or going to get verbally aggressive with you in Messenger, or they're going to leave your request unread, or they're just going to block you. One of those three things is going to happen. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. And I know Justina Banks is listening to this. I'm a step ahead every time. They've made it so incredibly easy for me to pinpoint the behavior because it's been repeated over and over and over again. It's the same pattern. Justina Banks themselves, I'm pretty sure it's a guy pretending to be a woman, but I don't know because I don't have the evidence, so maybe I shouldn't make such claims. See, that's how misinformation gets spread around. However, they're not going to be honest with you about anything. The fact that they would have to come up with a fake account, which is dedicated to verbally they're slandering and defaming my character, which, by the way, is suable, and I can get an attorney really fast. The fact that they're not going to be honest with you, they're going to keep perpetuating the same nonsense over and over and over again to unsuspecting people who may not be equipped with logic and critical thinking. They may not have those skills. And I'm not saying that you don't have that, but what you've demonstrated to me suggests that you don't have those skills. And I hope for your sake that I'm wrong about that. I want to give you all the credit in the world, but you're not making it easy for me to do that. You don't care about what I think, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I want you to listen to me when I tell you this. This is very important stuff to know. So please take what I'm telling you into consideration. Unblock me on social media. Unblock my cell phone number. Let's talk about this. Let's get some things aired out into the open. I know you said you didn't want me tagging your son in any more YouTube stuff, but in this situation, I had to get your attention. And I know the boy might be listening to this, and I wish him well. I sincerely wish him well. If I didn't think good thoughts about him, I wouldn't have done all the things I did to make him smile, to make him feel good. Don't take that away from him. He's a good kid. He's been through a lot. You know that as well as I do. Don't take that from him. Don't rob him of that. He's got someone on his side. He's got someone here who understands him. He's a survivor now. That's wonderful. He rang the bell. You have no idea how happy that makes me to know that a child gets to ring a bell after going through the BS they had to go through. Let's be honest and call it what it is. It's bull. Cancer is a bull disease. And I am glad that he overcame that. I wanted to celebrate with you, but you blocked me. I can't do that if you block me. Now I have to celebrate in my own silence. And I don't want it to be that way. I want you to know that I am so ecstatic for your son, that he overcame something that I also overcame. And now he's celebrating life as he should, as a kid should. Now he's living his life as a kid should. What he does with his story, if he wants to share it to inspire other kids like I have done, that would be great. If not, that would also be great. It's up to him. But I want him to know that he's got someone here who has always loved and cared about him. I wouldn't have done the things I had done for him to make him happy and to lift his spirits if I didn't love and care about him. I don't put myself out there if I was really guilty of doing something. I don't do that kind of stuff. You haven't even given me an opportunity. That's why I had to go this route. And I know you told me don't tag him in any more stuff on YouTube, but this is the only way I could get your attention, because otherwise you wouldn't know. This is like my last-ditch effort at trying to get you to understand. I heard you. You said you don't want to be involved. You don't care either way. I heard you, And while I am accepting of the fact that you don't want your family dragged into drama, you have to hear me out too. You don't just say what you want to say and the conversation's over. That's not how that works. You are being lied to by Justina Banks and anybody else who wants to come at you about me, something negative. You are being viciously lied to, and you need to be aware of that. And I'm not going to lie down and take it. That's not going to happen. I'm over that. That ship sailed. That's done. I am done putting up with people like this. And I welcome you back with open arms, Herbert and Nicole. I welcome you both back with open arms. Please, let's have the conversation. Don't end it like this. There's still potential there to repair things and to come to an understanding. Like I said, it's more than just your request or demand to not tag him in YouTube stuff. There's much more to it than that. You don't get to just make a proclamation and end it. I'm telling you, this is what's going on. Justina Banks is a foul, lying, leeching scum. They've been saying horrible things about me for years now. They've been slandering and defaming me for a very long time. Well, Jared, if it's not true, then why didn't you take them to court? Well, lawyers, attorneys are very expensive. A lot of lawyers won't take the case unless you have money up front. I'm not rich. Attorneys and lawyers cost money. Now, I would have to look around somewhere here in Michigan for an attorney who gives free consultations on slander and defamation. I don't know if they exist, but I'm going to be looking into it. Actually, I have looked into it. I've started. I'd have to check the Michigan Bar Association, get a lawyer who, I don't know if they take cases like this pro bono. I'm not sure. But I would have to look into it and proceed from there because I know who this Justina Banks is. And that's probably the reason why they will not show a selfie, because they know they're lying and they know they're going to get sued. How much you want to bet? So I've got them cornered. But the question is, why are you believing things? Why are you going ahead and accepting things at face value and then making determinations based on something that has not met its burden of proof? Because you know darn well, like I do, that if it comes down to it where I take this person into court, they're going to be paying out a bunch of money to me for slander and defamation. A ton of money. The judge is going to request evidence for the claim being made, according to the nature of the claims they're making. And I guarantee you that there is none. I've already sent letters to the People's Court because if push comes to shove, I'm going to bring this person to justice on a national scale. So that way they can never again pull this kind of bullshit on somebody else. I'm working on things. Believe that. So Herbert, Nicole, I wish you well. And of course, absolutely, I wish your son well. But please, take this into consideration. I'm being genuine. Absolutely genuine. This is coming from my heart, man. This is coming from my heart. I don't like to utilize daily rants to insult and bash people. I don't like to do it. I know I have a long history of doing that on this channel. I don't want to do that. That's not really what I'm set out to do. But I have had it with the level of ignorance and the people who are just, they got their heads in the sand. They don't care about what's true and what's not. And that affects everybody. You have to get with the program, Nicole and Herbert. You have to get with it. I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to live a life that's drama-free, but I'm trying to get you to understand that you are being lied to about me. You've made a mistake. And I'm trying to save you the embarrassment of making more mistakes. And I'm trying to dissolve people like Justina Banks, who will viciously and continuously spread lies and gossip without any evidence to support the claims they are making. This channel has a history of me talking about this over and over and over again. Again, I don't have warrants. I'm not under investigation for any such crimes. And why would they scribble out information? Why would they do that? Don't you think that's vital to an investigation? If any of that's true, I would like to think it is. But anyway, I've got things to do. I love you guys. You don't have to love me back. You can think whatever you want about me. But I genuinely and sincerely love the Clanch family. I don't want you to have to go through this drama. I didn't bring you into this. I was being honest and forthright with you and straight from day one. From day one. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed at all. The only thing different now is that you made a decision based on what someone else said, and there's no way to prove that what they're telling you is true at this point. And again, spoiler alert, there will never be a point when they have evidence, credible evidence, that would convince you that the claims are true. That will never happen. So I'm going to end the Daily Rant on this note. I thank you all so much for listening and sticking around for nearly an hour. We're coming in at just under an hour. My name is Jared Fuller, a.k.a. the Jerry Bear, and I will be back again next time. And tomorrow, there's a Sunday video update, so make sure you tune in for that. So, much love and toodaloo!